AWARIA is a bullet hell time management game where you kiss ghosts. It makes sense, trust. Playing as a tunnel runner named Ula Usterq, Usterker, Uster. You're assigned to Sector F of the tunnels. A simple premise, but I think that's where the game excels. AWARIA knows its limits, but within the limits of Sector F is a video game to be remembered for how it ties in all its important aspects into one short but rich experience. The gameplay of AWARIA is about using materials, those being gear, fuse, battery, water, and ice, to repair generators because it produces some kind of shield that protects you from ghosts. There are 5 ghosts, usually having 2 attack moves each, and the game expects you to dodge them or, well, remember dying is straight, but AWARIA's difficulty scaling is far from bad. It slowly builds up as you'll usually get one practice chapter with a new item or ghost to get a grasp on how to handle it. But from there, the game expects you to do the rest and carry on the skills you learned, gradually elevating you from this to this. A great example of this would be Chapter 3 and 4. In Chapter 3, before any ghosts spawn, you were introduced to 2 new materials, water and ice, water having a quick cooldown and ice needing to be created from water. Once you make ice to repair the generator, Cutwire 1 spawns for the first time, now having you dodge new attacks, so memorizing how the water and ice materials work. Chapter 4 acts as a follow-up with you facing off against Cutwire 1 and Cutwire 2, while having to carry out water and ice to the generators. The game shows you visual cues to help you learn the mechanics, which leads to them having a stronger memory in the player's mind, instead of if you were simply told by a text on screen. Now, moving on, while ignoring the fact that water being used to repair generators makes no sense, the ghosts are a highlight of your playthrough. The characters are easy to understand and charming. Also probably affected my sexuality. Zamora gets the most focus out of the ghost. Being the first ghost you encounter, she's implied to be Ula's motivation for volunteering to work in the tunnels, and she helps you in the final chapter. Having a crazed, tsundere-ish personality, she's a great fit for the game. Zamora's attacks consist of her trying to hit you with her range and releasing an electric shock, but she peaks in Chapter 9 when she becomes a high-tier shocker ghost, moving faster, able to send out 3 electric shocks at a time, causing lightning to fall on the entire screen. She is the reason Chapter 9 is my favorite Dashless chapter. Cutwire 1 is hotter than Cutwire 2. Oh my god, that's the hottest thing old girl has ever told me. Cutwire 1 is probably my favorite ghost in the entire game. She'll attack you with 3 cutters, disappear, leaving a marker behind, and if you step on this marker, a large cutter will be unleashed. She has a decent ranged attack, and her traps tend to flood the screen if you don't take the time to remove them by carefully dodging them. She forces the player to think smart to dodge her cutter traps, always making her interesting to play against. Cutwire 2 is just a projectile. She's the weakest ghost in the game, as all she can do is follow you, hoping you'll run into her, but even a new player wouldn't have difficulty dodging her. Until Chapter 10 at least, but at that point it doesn't matter because Chapter 10 is the last time you see the Cutwires anyways. Nikita is said to be the toughest of all the ghosts in Sector F, but I seriously doubt that. Nikita's ability to spread fire around the screen is really easy to dodge once you learn the pattern, even with the limits on the generator. If you're fighting off against her alone, you'll be fine. Nikita does do well with other ghosts, however, usually helping clog up the screen to make attacks trickier to dodge. Dr. Striga is the final boss of the game, and without a doubt is the hardest ghost in the game. She floods the screen with projectiles and minions. There's barely any room to breathe, and despite being mixed on the last chapter of AWARIA at first, with reconsideration, Dr. Striga is a worthy final foe for the player. You also have your boss, Yaga, who's been working as a tunnel runner for 20 years. She typically gives you more insight into the world, talking talking about how ghosts feed off strong emotions, the dangers of the lower levels, and near the last chapters, the game switches it up by having you play as Yaga to find Ula, who's gone missing. Yaga is faster and has the dash ability, which is required for the last level, as you have to face off against 3 ghosts and repair 8 generators. Side note, the dash is really useful. Between it neglecting damage and speeding up your character, please make sure you're spamming it as much as possible. Oh, also, Yaga just drinks actual poison. She's doing okay. The art style on all the characters is outstanding. The ghosts are all one color, making it easier to recognize them from a gameplay point of view. But despite all the ghosts being green, they don't blend in with each other due to them all having different shapes. Except for Cutwire 1 and 2, but I think recognizing the difference between 2 small cutters and 1 big cutter is easy. Wait, why does Cutwire 1 have 2 cutters but Cutwire 2 has 1 cutter? Nikita is tall and brute, Dr. Striga wears a big jacket, and Zamora is slender and has glasses. The tunnel runners are purple, the best color, fitting in with the environment. Speaking of, the environment of this game is very cubical, which seems to be a theme of the layouts in AWARIA. The ulti adds to the vibe this game has, being undeniably peak with its mechanical feel. The art style and music combined really do build on the immersion this game has of taking place in paranormal tunnels. AWARIA does have a hard mode, which is basically AWARIA hitless, and the generator time limit is reduced. I made sure to beat all the chapters on hard mode to give it a fair rating, and I'm glad I did. Before I did, I thought hard mode was lazily made, as in my opinion, a good hard mode changes up the difficulty of the game by giving enemies new attack patterns or changing the layout of the game to make it harder to dodge, but honestly, AWARIA's hard mode works wonders, mainly due to the reward of beating chapters on hard mode is seeing more of the gallery, which gives you insight on how the game was made, some lore on the ghosts, and what happened to all the characters after you finished the game. At the end of the day, AWARIA on hard mode is still AWARIA, and it's hard to make AWARIA feel frustrating when it's such a hidden gem. Even if you've already watched this video before playing the game, I'm sure you'd be surprised with how polished and amazing AWARIA is, so I'd highly recommend it whether you've been spoiled or not. AWARIA is such a fantastic display of passion put into a game. Despite its simple concept, AWARIA is an engaging experience through the entire playthrough.